Supplementary to my previous episode. I can't be bothered changing the titles. It is episode 123. Well, 3 years ago, it all started again. Or 3.5 years ago. I've just had a visit from the police because civil legal advice have kept calling me because I emailed the last video to 15-20 different people that were on my instant list that's on Outlook. I didn't email it to their whole book, just the recently emailed people. Civil legal advice, useless. Absolutely bloody useless. I spent 7 months getting through to them, and then they didn't really talk to me about it, and I had to do everything by myself, and I couldn't explain anything. And so they dropped my case. Thank you, civil legal advice. Let's hope I don't die this weekend. Let's hope that's not on your conscience. Anyway, I feel sorry for the police, I really do. Everything that no one else wants to deal with, he festered off onto their bloody laps. Let them get out there and deal with proper law breaking, not mental health support or tidying up for nuisance neighbours. When did that get offloaded onto the police? It's about time every council had an external oversight body, not the housing ombudsman or the local government ombudsman, a proper body with oversight to everything, with powers to do anything. It's fine having somewhere else technically you can complain to, but it's not complaints that you're after. There needs to be an ongoing oversight body that has authority to keep local government in line. Make sure they're following the letter of the law. It's not good enough that you check the paperwork. These people are trained on how to do paperwork so it can't be traced back. I've worked in the civil service for 10 bloody years. I know all the bloody tricks. I've been told to cover stuff up before in the civil service. No wonder why they make you sign the official fucking Secrets Act. So don't tell me that the paperwork's in order. What does the paperwork say, and do they carry out what they say on the paperwork? That's what the Oversight Committee needs. It needs to be an external body, private. Not part of the civil or public service. It needs to be a private body that checks on the public sector. If you want help setting it up, I'm your man. I know exactly what you need to set up and how it needs to be run. Ask me, all the other thousands of autistic people that have had the piss taken out of them for the last 11 years. We are fed up. We are not going to take this shit anymore. You people need to pull your finger out, contact your MPs, contact the NHS, contact your local councils and ask them the questions that my council refused to answer. How much money have you spent on mental health training? How much money have you spent on customer service training? How good was it? How much of your staff has been trained? All these awkward questions that Waltham Forest Council refused to answer. Ask your councils. Ask your MP. Ask your councillors. Mine are refusing to talk to me at all. No one will explain why. Yes, I come across as rude. Yes, I could be blunt and blatant and offensive. But not initially. Not unless you really push me, like my councillor Dore. 6 times I asked her about disabled parking on my estate. 6 times I had to explain what the fucking question was. You total nonce. I'm fed up of constantly explaining myself. 6 times means that you're not listening or you don't give a shit. Explain yourself, Councillor Dore. Why didn't you understand what the fucking question was? Why have you not communicated with me, Councillor fucking Dore? I am not in this by myself. If you want names, I'll put names in. Councillor Dore. Total lack of competence. The Labour Party. Keir Starmer. The Woodford Green Labour Party. All these people I've contacted about ineffective councillors. I've even complained about the invisible councillor, an Asian one that's been elected for God knows how long, never turns up any of the fucking meetings. Oh, he turns up where the free food is, but he doesn't turn up at any of the public meetings. Let's see. Let's carry on with the list, shall we? Junad Uddin, housing manager, Waltham Forest Council, makes promises that he doesn't keep. He lies. He just is incompetent. He's rude. He's not trained in autism. He thinks he knows about autism because he's got a child with autism. Bollocks. That doesn't train you in autism. Sharon Allen Caby, head manager in housing at Waltham Forest, refuses to answer direct questions. I was in a meeting with her about 16 months ago when we used to have public meetings. I asked her about whether it's okay for people in first floor, well, non-ground floor flats to have dogs. That's all the question was. I timed her. She spent 4.5 minutes not answering the question, and then I asked the question again. Said, thank you, but he didn't answer the question. Can you answer the question? And she still didn't answer it. Derek McLean walked out in our first meeting because he wouldn't answer questions. He complained that I was rude and antisocial. I was being threatening. Junad has said that Derek, my housing officer, McLean, feels threatened and intimidated by me. Oh, is that why they've sent me to Coventry and refused to answer any direct questions? Derek McLean, another one that needs training in customer services. Junad, the same. Sharon, the same. All my 3 councillors, the same. I've complained to the Justice Ministry, never had a response back. Labour Party headquarters, never had a response back. I'm fed up of this. I don't want to complain forever. I want the system to change. I want the system to go back how it was in the 80s and 90s when I was in the civil service. And everyone had oversight of everything. You couldn't get away with anything. Well, you couldn't get away with anything unless you were a manager. Oh, isn't that funny? So nothing has changed really, has it? So many managers in Inland Revenue. You remember the HMRC before? Inland Revenue? So many managers would fiddle the figures to make their department look good. There was no oversight. It was easy to fiddle. You just tore a piece of paper up and put it in confidential waste sacks or restricted waste sacks, and you fiddled the figures. I saw it done year after year, and people think, oh, this is why I take all these COVID figures with a pinch of salt, because I know how easy it is to fucking change the figures. So don't fuck me. I've been in the game too long to be pissed off this long, when all I need are answers and explanations and reasons. Why have they done this to me? Waltham Forest Council will not explain themselves. I'm getting the police coming round on suicide watch now, again. Sorry, police. You've done enough for me. You shouldn't be dealing with antisocial behaviour or mental health support, or in my case, autism support. You do enough, and there's not enough of you. That's the fucking piss take. They cut your numbers down and give you more work to do. Not fair on you guys. And the NHS think they've got it bad. They're still only doing what they're paid for. You're doing stuff that you're not actually paid for. Doesn't say in, your remit that you're supposed to do mental health support and tidy up the gardens and, give directions and blah, blah, blah. You're doing 90% of the work you do day to day is not the stuff you signed up for. And I feel so sorry for you guys. The NHS knew what they were going in for. You guys, it seems to change from moment to moment. A year ago, did you expect to go round and stop people meeting in a house? So, if anyone's going to clap for anyone, someone should clap for the poor police. Because they are burdened with all the shit that society wants to chuck into their direction. And it's not fair on them. Anyway, we was going through a list of people that need investigating. Waltham Forest Council, the Chief Executive Officer, Michelle Maloney. All people that have, either ignored me or treated me like a fool. Michelle Maloney promised to call me back. I keep saying this, and I've been saying this for 9-10 months now. Michelle Maloney's secretary called me and said Michelle would call you back next week. Well, that's 50-something weeks later, and they still haven't called me back. Thank you, Michelle. Liar. Chief Executive Waltham Forest. Liar. You don't like being called liars? Well, don't bloody lie then. Lying, definition. Saying something that you don't intend to do. Well, that's Waltham Forest Council. It's not everyone. There are some really good people in Waltham Forest Council, and I've actually written away and phoned up about some people. But Waltham Forest Council just want to sit back, take the money out of the public purse, do nothing for it, and probably, and this is why they need investigating, make a mint with senior staff with all these contracts that are being landed. What links are there between the people landing the contracts and the people working in the council? You need to investigate them for that. Are council officers fair? Are they discriminatory? Don't just rely on the investigations and complaints, because complaints are being fiddled by Waltham Forest Council. Investigations look at the paperwork and that's it. No one calls the person making the complaint to clarify what the complaint is. No one actually checks to see what the paperwork says and what they've actually done. They just check the paperwork is in order and then, oh, that's all right then. They followed the rules. Have they? Following the rules is actually following what the rules say and doing it. Not just putting it down on a piece of paper. I've got letters here beside me. Dozens of pages of A4 with the council telling tenants not to store stuff in the staircase. And yet I've got a recording with Junad Uddin telling me that they're not going to remove personal items like shoes and mats. Why? You've got a letter here saying you are going to remove personal items, and then you tell people on the phone, knowing you're being recorded, that if you don't like it, instruct a solicitor. Well, is that any way to talk to members of the public? We'll do what we want, basically, Junad said, and if you don't like it, instruct a solicitor. That's not public service standards. That's not standard code of practice. And yet I'm the one being segregated. All that happens when the police come round is I have a chat with someone and I feel fucking worse afterwards. So pull your finger out and do something instead of sending the fucking police round.